Welcome to the Perspective Podcast, where we embrace open dialogue from different perspectives about entrepreneurship, relationships, and education.
And this open dialogue is needed, especially today, as we live in a Twitter finger society where everyone seems to care more about getting their point across than they are about hearing the other person's perspective.
If you're ready to grow your business, your relationships, and your personal development, stick with us here at the Perspective Podcast, because sometimes in life, to get to the next level, you just need a different perspective.
If I look like what I've been through, I'd be roadkill. Tell me off of the pavement, I'm reeking from the...
All right, everybody, welcome back. Season 4, another episode of the Perspective Podcast. We are here. I'm C. Mouzon. I got T with me, back for Season 4. Say what's up, T.
Season 4. Give me 1, 2, 3, 4. Bruh man from the 5th floor.
That's right. We're back. We're so excited to be back, guys. We took a little hiatus from recording, right? Family life, just breaks in general. Plus, we want to keep giving sleep. Get some sleep. You guys don't know this, or maybe some of our listeners do know this. We record these early in the morning. So when you're hearing them, this is the beginning of our day. Right, having a nice conversation. But either way, we took a couple weeks off, but now we're back. We wanted to continue to give you value, continue to share more of our perspective, more of the perspectives that are out there. Because again, life is not about right or wrong. It's just about understanding people's perspective, man. If we could just get to a place, right? The thesis of the podcast always stays the same, right? It's the same thing over and over again. If it's not about how you think of things, right? It's about understanding somebody else's perspective so that you can understand what's happening in life, so that you can make the most out of your life and the situations around you, not being stuck in your ways, but having that growth mindset to know that you can have anything you want if you can understand and continue to grow. So we want to give you those perspectives here on the show. We're happy to be back for Season 4. So
excited. Oh man, it's going to be the best season yet. I'm so excited for this.
It's because you're in the penthouse now, T.
Oh, yeah. You know, the weather changed up, so I had to change it up. Had to get off the water. It's a little cold out there, you know, so in the penthouse for Season 4. So you'll see all my penthouses throughout the world. But, you know, I'm not going to talk about it like that. I'm not bragging. I'm just staying humble. You know?
Staying humble. But got to show you the upgrades on the screen. I pulled the microphone in for Season 4. It's time to get official. It's time to take this podcasting thing.
You've made enough mixtapes.
Exactly. Enough mixtapes. It's time to get in the studio, right? It's time to really make this thing happen. So either way, thank you everyone that has been rocking with us, that's been continuing to listen and share content or like and subscribe to the podcast. We definitely appreciate all of you. And we want to continue, like we said, to give you value and just have good quality conversations out there. And to start off Season 4, this one's a right in line with the Perspective, right in line with the Perspective Podcast. And why not jump in to talking about one of the headlines that caught T and I's attention over this past few weeks or so, that talked about OnlyFans. The platform OnlyFans is removing its sexually explicit content. Yeah. So we talk about pivoting a lot, right? We talk about pivoting.
I signed that because I have an OnlyFans account. I do not have an OnlyFans account because I don't want nobody to misconstrue.
Let's make that clear. Yeah, let's make this.
They were like, hold up. Terrell's like sad now. Like, you know, that's how he got to the penthouse, right? That's what paid for it. And it's beach houses. A, I don't have an OnlyFans account. And B, I do not pay for any OnlyFans accounts to watch.
Let's just make that clear on the record. Neither T nor myself have an OnlyFans account, nor do we pay for OnlyFans. But the reason we sigh is because this change is actually a massive change for a lot of people.
Yes.
Maybe some of you have, short memories, but we don't, right? So earlier in the pandemic, there was a lot of people that chose to say, you know what? I'm not going to go back to work. What I choose to do is go on this platform do some things that are probably not in my best interest, but again,
Who knows? Yeah.
who knows,
Each their
right?
own.
Perspective, to each their own, right? I don't want to be on some like anti-sex worker type of thing. Like, it is what it is, right? Everybody has their own thing. But understand that people chose to not go back to work so that they could create an OnlyFans account and start generating money themselves. Now, all of a sudden, a lot of money too. There's people that were coming into a lot of money. There's people that were really capitalizing on people's boredom, loneliness, and things at home. So now all of it overnight. Well, they had a couple weeks notice, I guess.
Yeah, 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, right. You get a few weeks notice, but basically overnight, your whole revenue stream for that person, everything that they were just built over the past 12 months or 14 months, can no longer happen. That's a big shift, T. How do you think people are going to handle this?
Look, we talk about this all the time. We talk about in the context of workers in different industries, from restaurants to car sales to hell, like just factory workers or people that work a lot with their hands, even construction. We talk about, like, on this podcast for 3 seasons, now 4, you have to have the skill sets to shift. You have to have other skill sets out of just your hands, or just sometimes even too specialized, because sometimes things move, industries change, right? This is new. This is nothing new. Look, there was an industry around people that used to clean up the poop from horse and carriages, right? The horses used to go, they used to clean up the poop. When automobiles came, there's no more poop to clean up, right? Like, you got to go do something else. You got to go start learning how to work on cars or different things of that stuff, or build them. This is the same thing. Look, this is crazy, because you think about it, like, listen to these numbers, right? I got some of these numbers pulled up. Last year, OnlyFans website made $375 million. Okay. That was last year. That was when it started going. This year, the company is projected to make $1.2 billion. Right? $1.2 billion. And it has over 7 million paying fans. 7 million people from around the world pay to see all kinds of content. Now, let's go ahead and say, for the record, OnlyFans did not originate as a platform for sexually explicit content. It was for artists, creators, which people are, right? And people can be fans. They're fans of them. They will pay for exclusive stuff, similar to Patreon, from my understanding of it. Somebody's going to correct us for that, but that's just my understanding of it, right? Now, the company literally makes 20% off of every financial transaction.
Wow. 20%.
So 1.2 billion, that's $200 million that they're expected to make this year, that we can argue is a majority of their content. I don't know a lot of people going on OnlyFans listening for like the latest hot song from somebody, right? Like, that's just not what I've heard, right? Now, I could be just in bad circles, right?
Like, again, I'm sure there's a few, right? Because again, not every platform is fully corrupt, or not every platform is fully one thing, but that is the dominant thought of what OnlyFans is, right? Like, when you say it, the dominant thought for most people is like, oh, that's where you go to see like porn stuff, right? It's like, no, actually, that's not what it was created for, but that's probably all the stuff, the majority of the stuff that's on there, right?
I mean, the porn industry is one of the only industries for many years that actually grew every year for like 40 plus years. like when it first started, I think it went for like 30 to 40 years. It every year, no other industry had ever done that in the history of the United States, where it was one industry that grew every single year, which was the porn industry. So I am not shocked around this happening. What I feel bad for are the people who thought this was going to be it. Now, there are a lot of other platforms. I don't know if all the other platforms are as friendly. They only take 20% compared to OnlyFans. I mean, obviously you have the big one, which is Pornhub, and there's several other sites out there. Me and Chris, before this, are trying to come up with all the sites, which lets you know, like, we don't know what they are.
Out of the game, man. Out of the game.
Listen, but this used to be like just full transparency, right? Because so people don't be like, oh, you guys are just like, I don't know, whatever. You guys don't understand. Like, porn was my thing for years. Growing up as a kid, look, it was, I don't want to say it was endorsed, but it wasn't like spoke negatively upon as a kid growing up in my house. So I seen it and I watched it for years, right? Not probably as much as some people do, but it was a part of like, like something to watch every now and then, right?
Sure.
And that's just keeping it 100%. So
it's real.
We're not speaking from a judgmental place in
Not
this
at all.
position. Like we're not saying like, oh, that's something I would never do. Ha ha ha. Look at all you people. If I was still in the same headspace I was at before, I'd probably be pissed off right now.
True.
I'd probably be like, man, like I gotta go pay some extra money, right?
Probably gonna piss a lot of people off. But also disclaimer out there, guys. For all the men listening to this, you do want to cut down your porn habits, guys.
Yes,
it's actually not the best thing. No matter what society says, it's really like there's actually a lot of studies behind how it like warps your sense of like sexuality, how it warps like kind of your mind and like in your fantasies and the things that you want. There's a lot of studies. So if anyone struggles with that, because again, T and I can make light of it because we've kind of come through that path, right? Like,
thank God they had a hold on me.
Exactly, right? Like,
and that's just being frank, man. That's just being real talk.
Has a hold on a lot of men. Has a hold on a lot of people. Yeah,
I will say there's a lot more women. I don't even want to say more. I just think more women are now open about the fact.
Right.
Around that, hey, I do watch it or I don't mind it, et cetera, et cetera. So look, to each their own, we understand that. Just in my personal experience, my perspective, my life is better without it.
Absolutely.
Let's just say it that way. Like my life has been better without it.
Agreed. 1,000%. But again, for a lot of people, go back to what we're talking here on this pivot. It's going to be a struggle for a lot of people, right? Specifically the workers, specifically the people that had the OnlyFans account that were making money from it, right?
Making money, $20 a month, 2,000, 4, 5, 6,000 followers. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. I mean, look, if you had 1,000 followers, let's just do the math real quick. 1,000 followers that paid $20 a month, that's $20,000 of revenue a month. And that's $240,000 a year. That's almost $250,000, right?
Where are they going to go now?
You're not even posting daily.
Where are they going to go now? Where are you going to go now to make $20,000 a month? Right?
Well, let's take off 20% from that, right? Because they get there. So $16,000 a month. Yeah,
there we go. 16 a month. Where are you going to go? And then secondly, what skill set do you now need to have? Right? What skill set do you need to pick? Like how? I hope they did some good things with that money. That's the right. Like those are the people don't understand this part of the money side. When you come into money, if you're not used to having money or you come across a great investment or a great 12 months or a great 14 months, you have to be so smart with that money because you have to understand that could set you up for your future. Right. All it takes is one little lick, one little like thing that puts you on the map, going from making, $40,000 a year to making $240 the next year. That delta, that difference you could invest in to be able to really start your life and catapult your life. But I have a feeling many of them didn't do that because they thought that it was going to continue to keep coming in. And this is something a lot of people fall victim to. Right. They fall victim to the fact that like they can't see that this won't last forever, that it won't be this way forever. And so they're not setting themselves up for their future. They're not getting a new skill set. They're not investing that money, that extra profit. They're not doing those things. And now it causes many of them to have to now go back to a similar situation they were in. Right. Who knows what the actual pivot is for them. We were joking before we got online. I had saw a meme that said something like, now that OnlyFans is, canceling its porn, that at least your local restaurant is going to have its servers back. Right. Because all these restaurants are super understaffed and nobody wants to go back. And I'm sure many of them transition. I'm thinking I'm thinking about a person I know right now that their significant other, I had a meeting with them and their significant other during the pandemic left the restaurant because they had no work and chose to do OnlyFans, right? Like it's people made this
people,
conscious decision.
Yeah. I mean, well, look, so the question becomes, what are people going to do? And just being industrious as we are, there's going to be another site that's going to be like, all right, OnlyFans, you're lost. We'll take your $1 billion a year, right? Like, you know, or and grow it. And so, is there going to be another site that comes up pretty soon? Yes. And is it going to take the blueprint of what OnlyFans did and probably enhance it, make it better? Yes. So the question is, are people going to either continue to try to do it because they see the revenue behind it, or are they going to shift back into what you would call a traditional job? I don't know. I really think there's going to be other companies that just come out, take advantage of this opportunity, and they're just going to shift over, right? Like that's just what I think is going to happen. So it was too much money too fast for people to let it go, right? Like, come on now, think about it. If you were making 50, 60, let's say you say 65,000 a year serving and bartending, right? That's what's pretty decent money, right? For, you know, pretty decent restaurant. And you then turn that into 200,000
the next
year.
Like,
come on, like 200. Are you going back to 65, working 70 hours a week, 60 hours a week, hustling, getting home at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, having to deal with people that's groping on you and stuff, where now I could just turn on my camera and edit really well, or even pay somebody to edit. Like, I just can't see people just going back. That's my thing, right? I don't know if people are going to go back. I think we may have opened Pandora's box with this one.
Like all of these things, T. Like, I know we're talking about OnlyFans, but in general, like, I don't think people will go back to working like working the way that like we were working pre-pandemic.
Yeah,
I don't think that anybody is like, every conversation I have with every single person in different industries all say the same thing, that there's a large percentage of their coworkers or them that are really want to do, like, you know, work from home,
do something else. Yeah,
they want to do something
gig
different,
work, whatever.
Yeah, whatever, you know what I mean? And I think it did open Pandora's box to see that, like, man, there are ways to make our lives happen and do whatever we really want to do and create income streams from all different types of ways. So I don't know that anyone will go back to working the way that they were working. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it's restaurants. I don't care what it is. I don't think people are going back. And, you know, OnlyFans.
I think it's good too, though.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I think my connection might be a little off, so I apologize.
Okay.
But no, it's like, I think it might be good because, like, we weren't happy. People weren't happy, right, with the norm.
That's right.
Like, employers got away with like maximizing, right? Like, I mean, you know, it was really like one side. Now, people signed up for the job, et cetera, et cetera. I understand. I have a business, you know, I have people, you know, that can help out and do different things. So I get it. It's shifted now. The leverage is not there anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, you showed people how to make money and generate without being tied to somebody directly. Like, there's not a middleman. You could go directly to the end consumer every now and then, or at least less resistance to get to the end consumer. Yeah. I think it's good. I think it's a good thing, right? And this is just an example of, I don't even got to go to school. I could be pretty and produce content, right? Like, you showed us this with YouTube. You showed us this on Instagram, these Instagram models, right? Like, these people are flipping this into like huge opportunities. One of my wife's like original content creators that she used to watch when my wife first did her big chop and went natural on her hair, she followed this one young lady. She followed her up until the lady was like, I don't need YouTube anymore. Boom. I got speaking engagements. I got consulting. I got coaching. I got this. And now she came back to YouTube after years later to be like, I'm here for fun. Like these people leverage this stuff. And she never went back to the regular job. You know what I mean? The traditional job. So I think there's some beautifulness to all of that. What I'm curious to see is, like, let's switch sides for a second. The company, right? Mm-hmm. They got pressure from their investors. They got pressure from their lenders. They got pressure because this was not the platform for what the type of platform that it designed it to be, which was predominantly sexually explicit content. Mm-hmm. So now they're making this shift. is this going to destroy OnlyFans? Like, can we say in the next 5 years they're going to get back to $1 billion based on their original? Because like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, this is going to be interesting from a business perspective to make this type of decision when you got so much cash flow coming in from it. Now, we don't know their background. We don't know all the numbers. We don't know the debt load. We don't know, like, and we don't know their moral compass either, right? Like, that's another thing. Right. We don't know. Because some people may, like my dad used to say, all money ain't good money, right? So we don't know, but I'm really curious to see how, you know, to walk away from that type of growth from last year to this year is almost a 300% growth.
But if they're shutting the funding down, then what are you going to do?
I guess.
You know what I mean? If they pull the money.
Yeah, like, but I guess my thing is, how do you have that much? Well, this is another conversation for another podcast. Could you not bootstrap that for a little bit? You got the content, you got the product, right? Do you know what I mean? Do you just increase your fee, right? Because people are making money. Do you just, hey, instead of 20, I'm gonna take 30, right? Like maybe I lose a little bit, but now I got 10% more. I'm a third more than what I have, and I can bootstrap this to go. Like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just to walk away from something like that. Let's take morals off of it, because we don't, like, I haven't read too much of anything of like from a moral compass. It's more pressure from other people, but I just can't see, like, that just seems really tough. I
think that pressure is the moral compass, right? Is like the pressure is coming from companies
that have the moral compass of
that are saying like
some of these banks, oh my God, don't even get me started. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Because you know how I get on my stocks and banks and what they're doing, but that's a whole nother conversation.
But I think if we're gonna talk pressure coming from the side of the money, the funding of OnlyFans, that's where the moral compass would come in, right? Because obviously it didn't come in on the side of OnlyFans, right? Yeah, like of OnlyFans, like C-suite or like the leadership on that side, because they kept running, right? Like they kept it running. The way it went. So the pressure, why would there be pressure from the money unless it was a moral thing? Unless or from a business standpoint, do they think it's not sustainable? But it's got to be sustainable because
we just talked about that. 40 plus years of industry growth.
It's got to be sustainable.
Look, there is more demand than natural porn companies could sustain. Right. Like I forgot the guy, he was just on Breakfast Club talking about this in the music industry. There's more demand than the music houses that, you know, they can produce. Like they only can hold so many artists. They only can promote so much. There's more demand. That's how everybody can get on SoundCloud and everything else and have a hit record or have something go viral. People want it more than these companies can produce it through, I have actresses and models and and people that do it. So the demand is there.
Yeah. It's true.
I mean, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately.
It's true.
Depending on how you want to look at that.
And again, like, we're not going to be some anti-sex work. Like, y'all do what you do. Like, it is what it is.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like, that means that there's some morals behind that money. That's what that's saying. There's some morals behind that money. There's some people. And, you know, we kind of talked about this when we were talking about all the stocks and who's behind what, and so-and-so sits on the board of so-and-so, and they're on the board of this, and they run this company, and that company has a problem, and they're on the board. So they got to tell, you know what I mean? Like, it's all interconnected. That's how the money is connected. So there may be some people sitting on the boards of these companies that are investing in OnlyFans that are running other nonprofits or you know, on sex work or something, you know what I mean? There's all types of like things that could be intermingled in there, where people start saying, or the money starts saying, hey, we're not going to support this. Otherwise we got to pull this money off the table. And then, right. OnlyFans is going to do. Now, will they go away? Because that was part of your question. Like, is this going to ruin them as a company? Well, no,
they're rebranding. They're trying to rebrand back to where they were.
That's what they would have to do. And they would have to spend a ton of money on rebranding. And so that's what it becomes. And
they're generating money.
Yeah. Right. Like that they have to get to that place where they can bring in some big name stars. They can bring in some kids. They can switch the whole thing around. If they can scrub their whole platform of any sexually explicit content, then they have to start welcoming a new demographic onto the platform. That's going to take marketing dollars, right? Like, how do you, I'm sure they got a stellar PR team or whatever to spin that story from like, we're going from porn to puppies or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but like, that's going to be the telltale sign of whether or not they're going to be able to make it through, because clearly this part was a huge revenue generator for them. So
look, I'll give you this. So I'm as you're talking, I'm going through and I'm thinking through, and maybe like look at this one part of the article that I was reading. It says performers will, this is a fortune.com article. It says performers will move on to another platform and the fans will likely follow. The biggest question is, will the efforts of OnlyFans to attract more traditional celebrities keep users interested? Question. Or will those users follow the sex workers, right? Then it says history points to the latter. Tumblr, which was a popular destination where people look for adult content, banned sexually explicit images in 2018. A year later, the site Yahoo bought for $1 billion was offloaded for $3 million.
Out of there. Tumblr, out of there.
$1 billion. Yahoo purchased it, banned all stuff. I don't know if Yahoo banned it, but whatever happened at that point, they dumped it for $3 million. I'm sure that's exactly what happened. Again, the morals behind the money, right? Like whatever it is, you come at Yahoo, a big name like Yahoo comes in, like we can't have a sex platform here. Like we can't. All right, we got to ban this. All right, no more people. Sell it for a negative 8,000% loss or whatever. Yep. Yeah, because they bought it in 2013. So in 2018, it got banned, and then they bought it for $1 billion and sold it for $3 million.
Yeah, no,
that's the loss.
No, that's like a what? That's like a 100 million % loss or something stupid.
I mean, so let's so now again, it's almost like, why even do it to yourself as a business? Right? Like if you're probably going to be on some more, like there's a potential, don't do it. Like all money ain't good money. Like if you're going to be just be in. If you're going to be all in, be in. Now, of course, you can change. People change their mind. People start one way. Like look at us. Like right. Like we may have grew up with it. Now we're like, nah, not so much. Right. Mm-hmm. So things change. I get it. But from a business perspective, if you're giving people what they want and you stop giving them what they want, they're going to stop giving you money. Period.
That's it.
I mean, and we get morally whatnot. Now, can they rebrand and become something huge? Of course. Will they? Is the question.
So T, you think they should have not taken the money up front? Like you think they should have seen this coming? How long has OnlyFans been around?
I don't see. Okay. They probably wouldn't got more money. That's probably what it sounds like. They probably were fine. Let me see this. Hold up. When did OnlyFans start? See, that's the beautiful thing about doing things now. Like you can look it up on the spot.
I noticed that. Like I see that on. It's weird how we see things like that on all other pieces of content. Yeah. Like you can just get real time answers. They do it on the Breakfast Club. They do it on all types of things. Like, oh, I got a question about that. I wonder what this is, and somebody pulls it up randomly.
Google cancels all arguments.
Oh, absolutely.
It launched in 2016.
Time. So look at that. It's a 5-year-old company. Like, do you think that they could have easily in 2016, when they started to see what type of content was on, immediately be like, nah, this is not what we want? Or do you think they cared about the money?
Yeah, right? Listen. Or maybe here goes the other thing. Maybe they already made enough money that they wanted the execs, and they're like, whatever, we'll do whatever you say because we already made our money. Maybe. Like, I mean, let's keep it real for real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we did it. We played with it for a short window. It don't matter no more.
Yeah, right. Like, we don't care where y'all go now. And
we can take the company back down. We got our money. We'll just fire a lot of people we got and start again. Whatever. I already got my money in the bank.
To be honest, it's probably a relief for them outside of the money part of it. The legalities and the lawsuits, the liability, claims on the back end, right? Like those types of things, I'm sure were probably nightmares in and of itself, right? Whenever you have a site like that, like,
because if you end up with a kid on there,
oh man, right? Like anything.
Come on.
Yeah, like, and people push it to all types of limits when you go that direction. So like, who knows what type of things they're probably getting investigated by the FBI, and all types of stuff was happening on there. So if those executives were like, oh yeah, we made our money, can't ban all this stuff, we don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
I got 100 million sitting in the bank. Like, this is more money than I ever thought I was gonna make anyway. Yeah. So let's just go ahead. Yeah. I can't find their revenue through the years just yet, but that'd probably be something else. It says OnlyFans has paid out more than $2 billion to content creators, and they have over 1 million content creators, they have over 1 million content creators. They paid out more than $2 billion since they've been paying out on it. And just to give a highlight, Bella Thor, or I guess
million. She made $1 million in like a minute or something, or 10 minutes.
24 hours. In 24 hours, she made $1 million out the deal, and she's still on the grind. No pun intended. Most accounts take home. Now it does say most accounts take home less than $145 a month. But look, this is a top 1% makes 33% of the money. So the top 1% makes 33% of the money. So what's that? 300 million, right? 300 million. The top 1%, which is probably what, if it's 1 million users, 1%, that's like 50 people or 50,000 people, whatever it is. So
what that article is saying is that people still struggle even on OnlyFans.
It's still life. Exactly. It's still real life.
You still have to have some type of talent or skill. People will not just pay you.
Yeah.
Money.
So 10,000 people make about $300 million, over $350 million. That's just ridiculous. So 10,000 people make $350 million.
It is what it is, man.
Average earnings from OnlyFans $180 a month. Hey, that's a gym membership. That's a like exclusive gym membership. That's like the best of the best gym membership.
That's right. Equinox is like $200 or something like that, something.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, man. So it's one of those things where it's just like, look, what are we trying to say here, right? Like, how we wrap this thing, how we bring it home. No matter what industry you're in, it's never safe. It's not, even if you could control the entire vertical, even if you could control it, your consumers could change, and then now your vertical is useless. Especially when you don't control the vertical and you really are dependent on another site, someone else, something else to happen for you to be able to profit off of it. You have to be diligent about what if. It's almost like we talked about this at the beginning. It's almost like being in the NBA or the NFL. The average time is only 3-4 years on some, 2 years on the other. It depends. How much money are you going to make during that time? And how can you use that to leverage other things to keep making your money make more money? You almost got to become a student in two things. Number one, in how do you stay there and have longevity? But then if you can't figure that out for whatever reason, industry changes, things change, you're just not good. How do you take what you do have and be a student of the money to be able to have that money coming in more and more and more? Or how do you shift that to something else that can generate it, whether another business, investment, or whatever else, or another specialized skill? So you gotta be ready for the change. I feel bad. All those that are listening that have OnlyFans accounts, I'm sorry, things happen, right? Sucks. Like, you know what I mean? The pandemic shut down restaurants. That's how you got more OnlyFans content creators. That's right. But that's just my take on it, man. That's how we, I want to bring it home from my side. What you got, Chris?
And it's true, man. Like, you're talking preparedness, and we always talk preparedness, right? Like, just, you got to remember that when good times don't last always, neither do bad times, right? Yes. Things are always changing. So whether we're talking OnlyFans today, and right, a year ago, we're talking restaurant workers and hospitality.
A year ago from that, we were talking gig workers, all these people making money with Uber and Lyft and everything else.
A little time before that, we're talking government workers because of the government shutdown. Like, we can just keep pointing at industries, travel and tourism last year, right? Like we can just keep pointing and it'll continue to keep the retail apocalypse for a while because of e-commerce, right? Like there's always going to be these cycles and these changes. And the reason why T and I always talk about you guys just being prepared and us being prepared is knowing that like things will change.
Yeah.
So how will you handle those changes? How will you pivot? How will you be able to still feed your family? Make sure it's because you're thinking, okay, I'm glad this is happening. This money coming in right now is great. But if it doesn't, what's the other plan?
Yeah.
You always have to be thinking about what's the other plan, right? And it's funny, we had an episode where we talked about Kevin Samuels. We had a couple of those here on the Perspective podcast, but Kevin Samuels has a pretty viral post or like moment where he was going back and forth with some OnlyFans content creators.
This is before it all about to shut down.
Yeah, this was months ago. This was at least 4 months ago, maybe, that he's having this conversation, maybe 5 months ago, and having the conversation with these two ladies, and they're saying how amazing it's going to be, and they're going to continue to do this, and right, nobody can tell them what to do, and they're making their own money type of thing. And he's like, it's not going to be like this forever. Like, you're going to get, like, it's going to either get shut down. There's going to be prettier girls. You're going to get older. Like, what are you doing? And Kevin Samuels started asking him about their business. Because if they claim to be business women, right, or bosses or whatever, he was like, well, what business then are you doing outside of here? Where are you investing? Where's that money going? What are you flipping it into, right? How are you building out a brand? How are you investing that into real estate or whatever you're doing? And they took offense. They got offended because he was asking these questions, basically just saying like, what you're doing right now is going to run out. So I hope you have another plan. Can you tell me the other plan? And they couldn't tell him the other plan. And that's where most people sit. Yeah. Right. Even people that sit at a good job, we talk about it. Right?
Yeah, for real.
Like, what's the plan in the event that job is no longer the good job?
Yeah.
You have to plan for that, right? You can't, I'm going into a season of talking about retirement stuff. So one of the things that I talk a lot about is like, you got to know that no job is going to want you to be there for the next 30 years. You know that, right? Even if
not anymore,
right? Even if you want to be at that job, you think it's your perfect fit and you think you're going to be there for 25 or 30 years. They don't want you there for 25 or 30 years. They want younger, fresher talent that they could pay less. And that's always going to be the model. They're not going to pay 58-year-old people more money, right, to do the same job. It's just the way that the job works. So like, that's not even going to be there long term. So what's your other plan? What's your pivots? What are the other skill sets you're building? T and I, we always just want you guys to be prepared. That's really what this conversation comes down to. Yeah. We can constantly point to all the ways people have to pivot, all the industries that get affected by something. But we just want you to be prepared, have a different perspective. Okay, I could stay at this job forever. I could do this thing, or I could do this, or I could explore this. We just want you to have those perspectives so you can make the best decisions, right?
In whatever you do, this can be stock investing, right? I have a couple of stocks that they're highly volatile, but if they explode, I'm already like, this got to get taken care of. This got to go away. This got to pay taxes. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You have to be thinking ahead. Embrace the moment, but think about, hey, tomorrow, what do I want life to look like tomorrow, right? And that'll actually help you spend less today, right? It'll help you, because if you don't have a plan, then today will consume you. You'll start looking around your house and be like, you know what? I did want that new bed. I did want that new couch. I did want that new TV. I did want that. And I'm talking from experience. When I started making more money and I started really rocking, it was like, everything around me got better, but my future security wasn't. Mm-hmm. And I look up and I was like, then when things got tight again, I was like, oh, I'm glad this couch is nice because I'm sitting on it a lot more, right? Because of the not pandemic at that point, but like other things happened, things shifted. So just be prepared. this is fun. Like, you know, obviously talking about something, you know, as wild as OnlyFans is not something we've ever done before, but it's important because this is all business. People were independent contractors making money, and the industry, the platform that they use shifted. The industry is still there. The demand is still there from a business perspective, whether we morally agree with it or not. How are you going to shift? That's the question. How are you going to shift?
That is a great way to wrap it up, guys. Back for season 4. We just want to know, right? Like, we're always going to leave you guys with the perspectives, and we want to hear your perspective, right? Are you prepared? Are you prepared to shift? Are you prepared to shift? Right? If a shift is necessary in any area of your life, are you prepared to shift? Do you have a plan? Right? Do you know what you would go and do to make sure you and your family are good, guys? We want to hear from you. We want to pick up the engagement. Keep reaching out to us. Let's have some conversation. We want to hear your perspective on this topic. If you're, should I open it up? If you're an OnlyFans,
listen, if you do OnlyFans and you want to come on and you want to talk about how you a boss and you shifted, let us know. Right? You know what I mean?
Because you're probably going to give somebody else a breakthrough on their perspective of like what they need to do. Right. So
are we like low key endorsing pornography right now?
I don't know, right? Like, that's why it's always like, is this true?
No, I don't know. I'm not understanding. I'm just principally, right? Like, you got to talk, because, you know, you get super religious people that'll watch it. They're like, look, they'll take that clip, be like, Terell endorses pornography.
Right.
Like, you know, listen, if I'm endorsing something, I'll make money with it. So I ain't making no money with it. So I'm not endorsing it.
There's no money coming in yet.
But principally, we understand, like, things, people are going to shift. People don't always think and believe like how I believe and think. Now, do I think there's merit or value in how I think? Of course, I wouldn't think that way if there wasn't. I'm always happy to share and have a conversation. But at the end of the day, people are going to do what they need to do. They feel they need to do. It's just all we're asking is just make sure you make the right decisions, and what are you going to do and how you're going to do it.
That's right. All right, guys, signing off for another episode of the Perspective Podcast. Until next week, God bless you guys. We'll see you again.
Do I get it? You know,
Season
why
4.
Not? Bang, bang. You know, we'll keep it here.
There it
I was
is,
thinking
guys.
really hard about if I want to add something else, but I like the bang, bang. I'll keep it going.
You got to keep some things consistent, brother. Some things got to stay consistent.
Fair enough.
All right. Next week, guys. See you.
Peace.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Perspective Podcast. We hope this conversation made you think a bit deeper, gain some insight, or even possibly even gain a brand new perspective. If you did enjoy it, do us a favor, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, Anchor, or anywhere else you stream. Leave a review to help more people experience these conversations and potentially change their perspective as well. And lastly, as always, T and I want you to connect with us. So follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You can find us just by using our names. And there we get a chance to hear your perspective. Until next time, God bless.